Hi, and welcome to Ottawa English. I'm Angela.
And today we're looking at how to get a high score in CELPIP, even if you don't have a great vocabulary. I know vocabulary is something many of us worry about, especially when it comes to finding the right word when you're under exam pressure. So today, let's try to reduce your stress about vocabulary by using a stronger score in other areas to compensate for any vocabulary inadequacies that you may have. CELPIP examiners use this rubric to score each of the speaking tasks. And clearly, vocabulary really isn't the only thing they're looking at. It's just one of 4 categories. Even within the vocabulary category, there are several factors that make up your vocabulary score. Obviously, your word choice, but then this one here is the suitable use of words and phrases, which means that you're flexible enough to find an alternative way to say something when you can't think of the exact word. This one here, the range of words and phrases, means that you don't just use the same word over and over again. And precision and accuracy means you use the tools of language efficiency. Let's take a look at a response to this prompt where we describe a picture. This is our picture, and this is the response that I've prepared. Stop the video for a moment and read the response. So there are some words that you may not know. So river's edge, for example. But I could say coast or the side of the river. Instead of dated, I could say old-fashioned or old. If I didn't know the word for rowing, I could just say small boat. For oar, I could say paddle. And instead of huddle, I could say sitting. If I didn't know the word for shore, I could just say side. I've got these guys dangling their feet in the water, but they could equally well be touching the water with their feet. And finally, if I didn't know the word for stroking, I could just say touching the cat. With either of those alternatives, I would get a good score for word choice because all of my choices are appropriate. I get my score for a range of suitable words and phrases from this quite dated and this eloquent phrase, family of 5, and then watching the world go by and an elderly couple. For precision and accuracy, I pick up a lot of points for this possessive, these participle adjectives, and these parallels. They all go a long way to giving me a good precision and accuracy score because they make my language so efficient. Okay, so as you can see, there's a lot more to getting your vocabulary score than just knowing specific words and phrases. Now let's look at how we can pick up points in all these other sections. For content and coherence, I've given an overview of the picture before zooming in on 3 areas of activity. The first being the boat, the second, the group on the right, and the third, the group on the left. They're good quality ideas because there's enough detail available to expand on my observation. And I've organized my ideas into 3 main parts. I've used prepositional phrase to introduce each one in the middle of the picture, on the right and on the left. And I've provided plenty of details. For the listenability score, I pronounce every word very clearly. My accent isn't a problem as long as the examiner can hear the word endings that identify whether I'm speaking about the past, the present, or the future. For a full score here, I mustn't correct myself more than I would in any other language, and I mustn't pause too often. I want to appear very confident about my ability to communicate in English. In terms of grammar, I've used the present continuous tense to show what I can see happening, and the present perfect to identify a couple of actions that I can safely assume have already happened. For my sentence structure points, I've got my subject, verb, and complement in the right order. Sentence variety can be a bit tricky in speaking because you can't go back and check how many sentences start the same way. A lot of my students forget how important sentence variety is in the speaking section. So before your test, practice saying things in different ways with big, fat, juicy subjects. In terms of picking up points for sentence variety here, I've used a referent, I've used subordinating conjunctions, I've used an interruption, and I've used some participle phrases. And that shows the examiner that I'm very comfortable using complex sentences. And now we get to the last section, task fulfillment. My response is relevant because it describes the picture. It's complete because it has a beginning, 3 well-developed ideas, and an ending. The tone is appropriate. It's general enough that the person I'm talking to could be anyone. And the length is good because it fills the 60 seconds allowed for my response without leaving too much time when I'm not saying anything. So I hope that gives you some ideas about ways you can pick up points for a good score, even if you don't have the world's best vocabulary. Thank you for watching. You take care now. Bye-bye.